I want to take you back to your time as a Navy SEAL. Your parents both served, but interestingly, they weren't, I don't believe, initially fond of the idea of you enlisting and skipping college?
No, my father, he had six, my mother and father, I have a rarity, they're both World War II veterans. My mother served as a nurse in North Africa, and my father had 6 Bronze Battle Stars. He served in North Africa, he served at Normandy, the Battle of the Bulge, Remagen Bridge, Anzio, and Berlin, all of them. And my father was as anti-war as you would find. And so my father's only advice to me was this. He said, look, if you got to go in the service, and he was biased because he was in the Army. He said, join the Air Force or the Navy, because he said they'll at least teach you something that you can use. But my dad didn't literally realize I would become Brownwater Navy, which essentially, I'll put it this way, when I got out, I could go on a year's unemployment. When I went to the unemployment office, they asked me what I was qualified to do, and my buddies told me how to answer who got out before me. When they ask you what you're qualified to do as a Navy SEAL or frogman, I'm qualified for diving, demolition, and parachuting. So what kind of civilian job are you going to get?
Right.
Hand me my unemployment check.
How would you best explain what SEAL training entailed?
It's difficult. It's not for everyone. 300 kids were in the room in boot camp when they gave us the screen test. Probably 30 stayed to take it. Out of the 300 that were originally in the room and the 30 that took the screen test to qualify, only 4 of us passed. 4 out of 300. Then when you get to training, you've got all guys that have passed that screen test. Your average class will start with about 100 to 125 guys, and you'll probably graduate at about 25.
Wow.
So it has a 75 to 80% attrition rate. So it's not for everyone, and it doesn't make you a hero making it. It's just a certain job that you're highly qualified to do.
What made the training worse than you were even expecting going into it?
All of it as a whole, because during the entire time you're there, you're not allowed to walk.
What do you mean?
You have to run. You run to run. You run to chow. You run everywhere you go. Walking's not allowed during the training cycle of the day. So imagine how far you actually do run. And swimming was my strong point in training. Truly, what makes it tough, you're a triathlete. That's the best way to describe it. Plus harassment. You're harassed by the instructors constantly. They try to make you quit.
I know this is an insignificant story, but what happened shortly after you enlist when you admit to having blisters on your hands?
Oh, no, that was the first day I ran the O course. I didn't get any pre-training. I got there on Friday and class started Monday, and my hands weren't toughened. And so when I ran the O course, normally you do it in about 10 minutes when you get good at it. That day it took me 45, the first day of training. And I ended up at the end of the day with about 4 big flapping blisters on my hands because they weren't toughened. I'd just come from A school. You know, I'd never run the O course before, where some guys got there a month ahead of time and got to practice on it and toughen up for it. And that day, at the end of the day, Terry Moy, Instructor Moy, who's a good friend of mine today, we're close friends. He was my first phase instructor, the most terrifying man I'd ever met on the earth. And he came out with a table and a first aid kit. And he looked at all of us and says, okay, which one of you pukes as flappers? And I looked at my hands and thought, God, I need medical attention. And I made the mistake, I raised my hand. Something you don't do. Don't bring any attention to yourself. You learn that. I learned mine that day. So he called me in front of the class and said, let me see. And I held him out. He said, oh, you got flappers. Then he said, are you right-handed or left-handed? And I said, I'm right-handed. He said, okay, hold your right hand out. So I held my right hand out, and I thought he was going to take mercurochrome, alcohol, whatever. I figured I needed it. He grabbed every flapper and ripped them off. So I'm standing there now with tears running down my face. Nothing hurt that bad in my life. Then he made me turn to the class and he said, okay, now you do the other hand. So I had to stand in front of the class and rip off my own flappers. And then he looked at me and says, now get back in line, you big dummy. What did I learn from that? Don't bring any attention to yourself. Blend in. Do not allow the instructors to focus on you. They will at some point, everybody, but don't bring it on unneeded.
For more clips from this interview, visit GrahamBensinger.com.